Welcome to the Astrid Mueller Show. My name is Astrid Mueller. I got well from breast cancer stage 4, and I wrote the book Permission to Sparkle. I'm on a mission to inspire people around the world
to what's possible.
Today, I'm here with a special Integrative Wellness Leader Talk series where I interview leaders in wellness and we get to discover ideas to support ourselves, body, mind, emotion, spirit, soul. Get ready for an inspiring interview and to discover what's possible. And here we go. Welcome, everyone. I am here with a super inspiring episode ready for you to inspire you if you happen to have gut health issues, anything from IBS or just like regular problems with your gut. This episode might blow your mind because we are speaking with an expert who had an amazing story where she suffered from that. And she also met thousands of people that had that same issue. And she found a 45% root cause behind it for the most part of gut issues. So even if this is not a thing that you currently suffer from, yay, you. This episode will also inspire you about integrative wellness on so many levels. And we will talk about emotions and about optimizing our happiness. So I'm going to introduce my guest and then I am going to get started. So first, I will welcome Dr. Debi Silber. So happy to have you here. And then I'm introducing you officially with your very illustrious and badass bio.
Thank you. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yes. So you are a researcher, a speaker, founder of the PBT, Betrayal Transformation Institute, the world's leading betrayal recovery organization for teaching, research, and transformation. It trains coaches, healers, and practitioners in uncovering what they were never trained to see, unhealed betrayal. So we will talk about gut issues in a minute, but that is part of the conversation here. So through her lens, coaches are finally able to help their most resistant and stuck clients move forward in ways that nothing else has been able to touch. Your PhD research uncovered 3 groundbreaking, I love groundbreaking too, groundbreaking discoveries. That betrayal is a distinct type of experience that needs a specific way to heal. That post-betrayal syndrome is a real and identifiable cluster of physical, mental, and emotional symptoms common after a betrayal, and that the 5 stages of betrayal recovery represent a universal, predictable path to healing. You are a 2-time TEDx speaker with over 2 million combined views, 2-time #1 international best-selling author, host of the top-ranked podcast From Betrayal to Breakthrough. You have dedicated your career to giving health and wellness professionals the missing piece that can make all the difference. And your latest book, Unstuck, the Practitioner Guide to Moving Betrayal Clients from Survival to Transformation, speaks directly to coaches and practitioners who are ready to go deeper with their clients. I'm super looking forward to this conversation. Welcome, Dr. Debi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. I would love to start with your story. So, if you go years back, you had a powerful story of a big life challenge that happened more than once. So, tell us a bit from your background.
Yeah, you don't study something like betrayal unless you need to. I'm in business 34 years, health, mindset, personal development. And then I had a painful betrayal from my family, and I thought I did all I needed to do to heal from that. And then it happened a few years later. This time it was my husband. So that was the deal breaker. And, here I was. I needed to heal. I couldn't afford just to be in so much mental, emotional, physical pain. Usually I would go to books or courses or mentors to help me heal. There really wasn't anything. So here I was. I had 4 kids, 6 dogs, and a business. I was a lifestyle coach at the time.
Mhm.
And so I enrolled in this PhD program to study betrayal because
Wow.
I needed to learn. I'm kind of learned
Mhm.
my way through this, but I kind of knew on some level. I remember saying to myself, I have no idea uh, how I'm going to heal from this, but if I do, I'm taking everybody with me. Like it was just a knowing. And then I did the study on betrayal just to really help me help, so I'd be better for my kids, better for my clients. And that study led to three discoveries, which changed my health, my family, my work, my life.
So amazing. So was there a moment where you realized that betrayal had to do with your other health issues? You mentioned already that you had body issues and stuff. When was that point where you realized it's interconnected?
Yeah, that was the second discovery, and what that was there was actually we found there's this collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, so common to betrayal, it's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. We've tested over
Wow.
100,000 people to see to what extent they're struggling. Um, it's so interesting because people have symptoms, you mentioned gut symptoms. 45% of everybody betrayed has a gut issue of some kind, Crohn's,
Mhm.
IBS, diverticulitis, reflux, whatever. And like I remember, as an example, there was a woman in our program back when we had members coming in. Now we're just training practitioners. But when we had a member coming in and she was in her mid 80s and she
Mhm.
had a 70 plus year digestive issue from a family betrayal. She was adopted, they didn't tell her, something like that. So for 70 plus years, you can imagine the supplements, the medicine, the
Yep.
foods, the protocol. And she just, kind of resigned herself to thinking, I just have a bad stomach. 2 weeks into healing the betrayal, she healed from a 70 plus year digestive issue. That's what
Mhm. It's
happens when you deal
amazing.
with the root cause. And those symptoms of post betrayal syndrome, and I'm happy to share them if you want to hear them,
Yes.
they start as a result of that betrayal and they resolve when that betrayal is healed, not
Mhm.
on their own, when the betrayal is healed.
Yeah. I find that so fascinating, and that's something that I also explored and discovered on my cancer healing journey, that there's more than just the body to look at, and I also found some books to look at, well, what might the body tell us? And, what emotion might be behind it, and so you mentioned the gut and betrayal is directly connected. So and you also mentioned before we got on the call that you work with corporate clients, for
Mhm.
example, and I wanna speak with this episode to everybody out there who might have suffered of any kind of betrayal or just doesn't feel healthy. So, what is that first sign that people might remember from this conversation? We're like, "Oh, maybe, maybe that will help me solve a lot of things." Like, what do
Yeah, I
you
mean,
say?
there's so much to it, as far as corporate clients, when you think about it, companies they wanna do well. They wanna
Mhm.
have an energetic, workforce. They wanna have the creativity and the morale and the productivity.
Yep.
That's an impossibility
Mhm.
if their team is struggling with an unhealed betrayal. Now, I remember, again, when we had clients coming in to the PBT Institute, we would have like a salesperson coming in saying, "I can't I'm gonna lose my job. I can't sell. I can't concentrate. I can't think
Mhm.
straight." Someone else, I'm supposed to promote our product or a program or a service. I lost my confidence,
Yep.
or I'm so anxious. I can't focus. These are all betrayal,
Mhm.
unresolved betrayal. So, and then when companies bring in someone for trust or stress or psychological safety, at the root of it is all betrayal. So
Yep.
that's why we thought, instead of working with the individuals, let's deal with, go into the corporations where this stuff really can make an impact, and it has been. Um, but yeah, we
Nice.
see it, and for the individuals, we'll see it with someone, let's say they're fine. They say, "No, I'm fine."
Mhm.
Fine isn't healed. And when we see that, and as a if you want me to share the 5 stages,
Mhm.
of
Yes,
betrayal
please.
recovery, that it's common to stage 3, and that's
Okay.
where most people are, and transformation doesn't even begin until stage 4. So there are so many different, ways we could go here. I could share the discoveries, we could start there, whatever serves.
Thank you so much, and I love that we have all these opportunities to go deeper. What I love to do right now first is to make it as directly applicable for people,
Mhm.
for most people in the world right now who want to optimize their wellness and they're curious about, wow, okay, so things are interconnected. So maybe there's emotional connection. And you mentioned stress as part of it
Mhm.
too, right? So, and I know that there is so much disruption happening in the world right now, a lot of stress from that. So I could even imagine that some people might feel betrayed by their government or,
Mhm.
so a lot of things. So what do you say to people how do they spot that? Because I find that is in our own work too. I find a lot of times it takes this moment to just realize, wait a minute, what's going on here? And like, oh, let me look more here. Like,
Mhm.
how do people connect to that?
Yeah. Well, I would start by defining betrayal. I look at it as it's the breaking of a spoken or unspoken rule. And
Mhm.
everybody has them, and the way it works, though, the more we trust, the more we
Yep.
depend on that person, the deeper the betrayal. So let's say a child who's completely dependent on their parent and the parent does something awful, that's gonna have a different impact than, let's say, your coworker taking credit for your
Yes.
idea,
Of
your
course.
best friend sharing your secret. Different level of cleanup left in the wake.
Mhm.
But it's that
Mhm.
shock. It's
Yep.
always the shock of the person we trusted. It's like they pull
Mhm.
a mask off and reveal who
Yep.
they've been. It's a shock to the body, to the mind, to the heart, and it leaves those physical, mental, and emotional symptoms in the wake.
Yep.
And it's those are the symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. And it affects, if it's unhealed, it affects every relationship going forward, every interaction
Mhm.
going forward. It
Mhm.
affects our health, it affects our work, it affects all of it. And you could see it in relationships. We'll see an unhealed betrayal in two ways. The
Mhm.
first way, repeat betrayal. The face has
Yep.
changed, but it's the same thing. And we'll go from boss to boss to boss,
Interesting.
friend to friend to friend, partner to
Yep.
partner. We say, is it me?
Mhm.
Yes, it is. Not in that it's your fault, in that it's your opportunity. There's a very
Nice.
profound lesson
Mhm.
waiting to be learned. And until and unless we get that, we're going to have opportunities in the form of people to teach us. The other way is we put the big wall up. We're like,
Mhm.
"Nope, no one's getting near me again." We
Yep.
think that's coming from a place of strength, it's not. That's coming
Mhm.
from fear. And,
Mhm.
and what happens is we're keeping out the bad ones, yes, but we're keeping out the good ones too. So that's how we'll see it in relationships. So many people do that. With stress, we'll see an unhealed betrayal like this. People go to the most well-meaning doctors, coaches, healers, therapists
Mhm.
to manage a stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. At the root of it, very often is an unhealed betrayal. And we
Mhm.
see it at work. People want that raiser promotion. They deserve it, but they don't have the confidence to ask. That's from that
Interesting.
unhealed betrayal. Or they want to trust their boss, their coworker, but the person they trusted the most proved untrustworthy. Right. So all
Mhm.
of this is an unhealed
Mhm.
betrayal.
Yeah, wow. I love that you mentioned a lot of access points for us to do a cross check of like, do I have this in my system somewhere that I could let go? Do you already have a quiz that take people can take somewhere?
We do.
Do
Yeah,
you?
everything is at the
Look,
PBT as in post betrayal transformation,
perfect.
thepbtinstitute.com. Uh-huh.
Perfect, because I feel that is a powerful piece to send people to, like, if you have any sort of inkling, like, well, either you have gut issues or you feel like somehow not fully empowered moving forward, right? It's like, just do a cross check and see what comes out, right? Yeah. Okay, so you did mention 5 stages of
Mhm.
betrayal recovery. So let's say people have discovered, oh, yeah, or maybe it's very, very clear, like, yeah, heck yeah, I was betrayed, right?
Mhm.
So how do I heal myself and get this out of my system? So tell us more about those 5 stages, please.
Yeah. This was the third discovery, and for me, it was personally the most exciting, and what we learned was, while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and most people do, if we're going to fully heal, we
Mhm.
will move through 5 proven predictable stages, and
Mm.
what's even more exciting about that is we now know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every stage, and we know what we need to do in order to move from one stage to the next. Healing's entirely
Wow.
predictable. Yeah, so happy to share the stages if
Yes, please go into it. I love it.
okay. So stage 1 is actually before it happens, and,
Mhm.
when you think about it, when we're in what we think is a healthy relationship, we're not scanning for betrayal, we're
Mhm.
trusting, and that's what we're supposed to do, and
Yep.
and that's what we were taught to do. So that's why a betrayal is so shocking because we were doing the things in this relationship kind of on autopilot, just raising our kids and hopefully being mindful, but in the process of doing, working, all the things. And that's why the shattering of trust is so hard. And
Yep.
then right after that, that what we're doing is we're ruminating, we're looking, we're like, what did I miss? How did I not see? How did I not know? So anybody who's rushing this process is really doing themselves a disservice, because what we're doing is we're trying to look and see what we missed so
Mhm.
that we can prevent it from happening again. It's really
Yeah.
an important stage right there. But anyway, stage 2, shock, trauma, D-Day, discovery day. This is the scariest of all of the stages, and it's the breakdown of the body, the mind, the worldview. So when you talk about health issues,
Mhm.
right here, we've ignited the stress response, and we are now headed for every single stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. The mind is completely in a state of chaos and overwhelm, and
Mhm.
our worldview is totally shattered.
Mhm.
That's what, gives us our rules, our sense of safety shattered. The bottom has bottomed out on us, and a new bottom hasn't been formed yet. It's traumatizing. But think about it. If the bottom were to bottom out on you, what would you do? You'd grab hold of anything or
Yep.
anyone in order
Exactly.
to stay safe and stay alive. And that's stage 3. Survival
Mhm.
instincts emerge. This is the most practical of all of the stages. Um, this is also the stage where most people get stuck. And here's why.
Mm.
It's so common right here to, let's say we go to a well-meaning therapist, for example,
Mhm.
and you feel heard and validated and understood. And that therapist who doesn't know there's a stage 4 or stage 5, you're actually solidifying your spot in stage 3.
Mm.
We also, because we're here longer than we should be, we start having those symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome. We don't know there's anywhere else to go, so we
Mhm.
plant roots here. And now the
Mm.
mind starts doing things like, well, maybe it's your fault. Maybe you're not
Oh,
that great.
wow.
And now, because these are the thoughts we're thinking, this is the energy we put out. So now, like energy attracts like energy, we have circumstances and new relationships, and, to confirm this is where we belong. And
Mhm.
it's because this is where we're stuck, and it gets worse, but I'll get you out of here. Because it feels so bad, but we don't know there's anywhere else to go, right here is where people start numbing, avoiding, distracting.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
now you use food, drugs, alcohol, work, TV, anything to keep us busy and distracted. And we do it for a day, a week, a month, now it's a habit, a year, 20 years. I can see someone 20 years later and say that emotional eating you're doing, or
Mhm.
that drinking, or that overworking you're doing. Do you think that has anything to do with your betrayal? And they look at me like I'm crazy, but that's what we do. All we did was lock ourselves in stage 3 and stay
Mhm.
there. So this is also for the wellness practitioners and coaches, your clients right here, they're fine. So, and you're wondering, why is it my great stuff is working on everybody else and not them? That's
Mm.
because it's a betrayal client. So when they're fine, you don't know what else to do with them. You graduate that client, and you're both denied that fulfillment, that
Mm.
transformation that happens. If you would have known the language of the stages, if you would have known what stage 3 looks like, you'd know, oh my gosh, they're fine. That's stage 3. I'm not letting them go now. The best is waiting for that client in stages 4 and 5. Biggest missed opportunity I see with the best practitioners and coaches.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it's so huge. That's why I wrote Unstuck, because it has the language in there. Anyway,
Yes.
if they're willing, willingness is a big word right here, to let go of the story, all it gives them, grieve,
Mhm.
mourn the loss, bunch of things. You can move to stage 4. Stage 4 is finding and adjusting to a new normal. Here's where you acknowledge, I can't undo what happened, but I control what I do with it. It's very forward moving, very action oriented. Who do I want to be now? What am I ready for? What was I settling
Nice.
for? What have I outgrown? Um, and it's inspiring. This is a great stage.
Mhm. Sounds
And then,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, stage 4 is actually my favorite stage. And then once we've settled into that space, we've made it mentally kinda home, we move into the 5th most beautiful stage. And this is healing, rebirth, and a new worldview. The body is truly healing now. Self love, self care, eating well, exercise. We didn't have the bandwidth for that earlier. Now we do. The mind is healing. We're making all kinds of new rules, new boundaries, and we have a whole new worldview based on everything we've seen. In stage 5, this is where we see beautiful levels of health, new relationships, either with the person who hurt you in a very different way or someone new. This is where we see new businesses, new passion projects. We didn't have the bandwidth for any of that in stage 3. Stage 5, we do.
Wow. You have so much in there, and I love that you put your book behind you.
Oh,
So
I have a bunch of them behind me.
yes, of course. So that is fantastic. So if anybody listening to this and you feel that you're not moving forward, you have repeat stories, perhaps you're attracting similar situations and you feel betrayed again and again, and you're not feeling healthy, cross check your website with a quiz, and we will share the links below this episode. And also check out the book on stock. So I love this. I want to go deeper with something really cool that you said. And I feel that's also an unlocking space because you said we didn't have time for this before. So this is a belief, right? So, and tell us a bit more to actually shift from saying ourselves, I don't have time for this. But then you suddenly do. So it speaks to time being an illusion, right? And now comes to our beliefs. And tell us a bit more about how you view this to go from
Yeah.
there to.
When we're healing from betrayal, if we're truly moving through the stages, it's intentional and deliberate. We're
Mm-hmm.
looking at every single thought, action,
Yep.
behavior, belief, and
Yep.
assessing it to say, is this worthy of coming along?
Yep.
And if not, it doesn't. And if it's a great quality, you take it with you. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's one you've outgrown, you leave it behind. And you're deliberately creating a version of yourself that wouldn't have had the opportunity to be created had the experience not happened. That's trauma well served. And so many people are so stuck in stage 3, first of all, because they don't know there's anywhere else to go. But
Yeah.
because I have a saying I've been saying the 34 years I've been in business, and it's this: hard now, easy later. Easy
Mm.
now, hard later. Take your pick. It's going to be one of those two. And when it comes to betrayal, it is full on hard now, easy later. And I mean, it's because you're taking yourself on. You're taking on the every belief. You're taking on how you showed up. You're taking on what you were settling for.
Mm.
There's a complete and total death and destruction of the old. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
you rebirth the new. You didn't go through one of the most painful of the human experiences just to be fine. What a
Mm-hmm.
waste of
Right.
trauma.
Right. Right. Yes. Yes, and what a statement, right? I'm fine. That's always like, whoa, what does that even mean?
Yeah. But
Is
I
that
want
enough?
everybody to know fine means stage 3. And you deserve
Yeah,
so much better than that.
yeah. That is so interesting. I would love to go a little bit deeper with something you just said, and that speaks to my view of how I see things from my lens. So you said hard now and easy later, right? And so that can be a big deterrent. I know for me, that was like for so many years, it was actually my curiosity. Can't everything be easy? How can I make things light? So I would love to hear. Let me quickly give an example from my worldview, like how I approach things to actually also take ease into the difficult things. And then I'm curious how you see this. So for me, for example, I wrote the book Permission to Sparkle. So it's like we have the key curiosity that we use to just kind of shift the way of looking at things. So when I'm with curiosity and say like, okay, so what I'm shifting in more like an energy of wonderment and going like on an adventure quest, and let me find that hidden belief and like, oh, am I really believing that? Or like, I'm kind of using like adventure framework or like finding my
Mhm.
superpowers and stuff. So how do you help people take that step, who might really want to, but then they're bouncing back from the, "Oh, it's hard." I'm like, "I can't do this. I don't have what it takes," that kind of thing? It seems like a big barrier.
It's a huge barrier. Willingness has so much to do with this because so often people
Mm,
stay with the familiar known. Not that it's good, it's
yeah.
only familiar. That's it.
Mm,
That's the only benefit. But when they realize oh my gosh, every single thing I've ever done at once was unfamiliar. And then I did it and it became familiar. So if you can look at this saying, just because you don't see what's waiting for you, what if there's a version of you, because it's predictable? What if there's a version of you that you get to meet who is so healthy, so whole, so
Mhm.
healed, so powerful, so
Like
confident,
that.
so strong in stage 5? You know what
I
it's
love
like? It's
that.
like imagine two best friends and they're both
Mhm.
30 pounds overweight. They're fine. It doesn't stop them from doing anything, right? They're living their lives, doing their thing. And one day, one friend says, I'm so done with the 30 pounds. I'm just done. I want to eat well, exercise. And she wants all the things that she thinks that 30 pounds less will give her. So
Mhm.
she loses the weight and now she's buying clothes she chooses versus what fits, like has more energy, whatever that weight meant for her. And she says to the other friend, come on, it's so good over here. And the other friend's like, I'm fine. And the truth is she
Mhm.
is, but she has no idea what's waiting for her.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
she's taking the familiar known only because she's fine.
Mhm.
It works.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And it's so fascinating how our mind plays tricks on us, right? And I can imagine is like, especially if we've been in stage 3, how you
Mhm.
describe it for a long time, right? You said like you kind of like make roots and you're comfortable with the roots and you there are like illusion stories that can build too, right? Saying like, oh no, this is better and this is all I deserve, maybe, or whatever, all stories we're telling
All of it.
ourselves. So
All of it.
I
It's like we're
yeah.
wearing these foggy glasses for so long we don't even realize we have them on.
Yeah, exactly. So I love the prompt that you gave to imagine your best self and really picture that. Like imagination is so powerful and then say like, well, why can't I have that? And that brings me back to my book too. It's like permission to sparkle. Like, do we give ourselves permission to even consider the possibility, "Oh, maybe I don't have to have these gut issues. Maybe I don't have to be stressed all the time." All these possibilities open up. I love this so much. Um, so listeners and viewers, play with the possibility. Dr. Debbie has so many stories of thousands and thousands of people who step through that, and you can too. Do you have a story of somebody? I know you mentioned this 80-year-old lady who
Mhm.
shifted. How about somebody from corporate, like a tangible story that somebody you work with, or maybe in the coaching world? Where they thought, "Oh my gosh, this is impossible, and, like, I
Mhm.
can't do this," and then they broke through, and even they could do it. Like, what's a
Yeah.
powerful s
There's one story that comes to mind, so it must be the one I'm supposed to share. So I was working with a man, and his betrayal happened 40 years ago, and he was really stuck in stage 3. I mean, tied so hard to stage 3. And logic has nothing to do with healing from betrayal, and that's why really people the most intelligent people are shocked that they're struggling to heal from it because logic and your intelligence has nothing to do with healing from betrayal. Anyway, so his betrayal happened 40 years ago. He was stuck, and I knew I had to try something new. So one day I say to him, do you have a calculator with you? Yeah, I have my phone. Okay, let's take it out. He takes out his phone, and I say, how long ago was your betrayal? And he said, 40 years ago. All right. How how often do you think about it? Like how many times a day? I don't know, between 10 and 20. Okay.
Oh my gosh. I see where this is going.
How long do you think about it each time? He said, about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Have you ever come out of it with a nugget of wisdom, anything useful, anything that's forward moving, insightful, that is helpful or has helped you in any way? No. Let's do the math. It came out to something like 5 years. So it's okay. So it's really as if you went off into a cave for 5 years. You've come out of it with nothing but anger, frustration, bitterness, resentment, illness, conditions, disease. What do you want to do with that? Because here's the thing, you can keep doing it for another 40 years if you want to, or this could be the day that something changes. And that was the day something changed.
Holy macaroni, that's a powerful coaching question you had for that guy. That's amazing. I love that, and I love that you said he did you say he was, like, logic-minded first and, like,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
solid with logic? So I love that you used his language and his tools of the mind to actually deconstruct
Mhm.
even the logic. Um, yeah, brilliant coaching, amazing. I'm sure that's unlocking something for somebody as well. Um, wow. Yes.
Well, you know what
Permission.
it is? It's like I've been coaching for 34 years, and I don't think I
Mhm.
mean, I've coached thousands and thousands of people. So it's also, and I'm also, very sensitive and very intuitive. So, any good coach, it's like, you'll see a head tilt, you see a shift. That's the moment you go in. And it's
Yes.
all about them. It's all about and healing is all about them as well. It's shining a light on what they're doing so that they can
Mhm.
choose to continue doing the same thing or do something else. Entirely up
Yep.
to them, but let them own that.
Yep. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Super powerful. So I know that you are on a brilliant move with your business and changing the world. I love it so much that you're like really looking at how can you work with more corporate clients
Mm.
to really help with this hidden opportunity of transformation, right? So can you give a practical example of managers probably, right? Or HR people, like how, because they need to spot this opportunity too. Like, so
Mhm,
what is the point where they can recognize, okay, what in my whole playground here of the company, maybe their own life, right?
mhm.
What can be an orange flag or maybe like a, oh my goodness, let me check this.
Yeah.
What's that entry point for them?
It could look like burnout. It can look like
Mm, yeah.
disengagement, and very
Mhm.
often it's an unhealed betrayal. And so,
Mhm.
they're not gonna go to their manager with this because 'cause they're worried they're gonna lose their job or they're
Yeah.
embarrassed or humiliated. So what we do is, first, we just shine a light on the whole betrayal experience and how it shows up, even if it happened outside of the workforce, how it's
Yeah.
affecting people at work because
Oh,
they're not even aware of that. They're looking at, let's implement a new, program or whatever. And if it's an unhealed betrayal, it doesn't matter what program they implement. This is at the root of it. So first we educate, and then really based on what they want to do. Sometimes the education is a great start, and sometimes
mhm.
they say, you know what, we want this for the leadership team, or
Nice.
they wanna open up our signature program, which literally moves people through the 5 stages. They wanna
Nice.
offer that to their employees. Whatever it is they wanna do, we have an option for them to do just that.
That's amazing. Oh, that's brilliant. Like giving information, information is power, right? So they can see the opportunities and then they can choose where they want to take it. Yeah, of
Well, it's
course.
those, I'm bringing in such a sucker punch word, people aren't talking about betrayal, but meanwhile, they're paying for all the things betrayal creates.
Oh my gosh. Right. And then you can come with the numbers, running the numbers again. Well, let's look about how much time is wasted with what
Yeah,
does it
and
cost
we
you?
and we do. We have all kinds of assessments and all kinds of everything, so they see
Yeah.
it. They see it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. This is so ironic in a way, right? Like where we sometimes think that all it has to be success and money, and the managers might be very money focused, and the shareholders and all the things, right? And then health suffers, and they plow through, and they think that's just how it goes. Let's push it harder, right?
Mhm.
But then I love that health is actually the hidden opportunity to also bring more money flow as a side effect.
And
Isn't
it's
that
not
great?
even health. As much as it's health, it's morale, engagement, productivity. It's
Mm,
everything the company wants to see. But if at the root of it, is
yes.
this unhealed betrayal, that's how they can have those numbers.
Yes, and from my lens with the integrative wellness, right? It's
Mhm,
for me, I would say it is actually you're unlocking something for them where people get to access their full thriving mode and wellness for body, mind, emotion, spirit, soul. Their soul can soar because they're
mhm.
healed, right? So, and that's when you have the fulfilled workforce. That's when you're excited, you're actually behind the brand, and energized naturally because we're connected with our own life force and we
Yes.
don't, right? All of that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's much I mean, think about it from if you're an employee in a company where now your company is supporting you in this way from something that, and we keep it completely anonymous and this way because that's a big issue as well. But you get, they appreciate their employer who's supporting,
Yeah.
something that they're too uncomfortable to speak about. It's at
Yes.
the root of what's causing all the breakdowns anyway. And
Mhm.
it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, and all what it does take though is, the top to be open to
Yeah.
look at
Mm.
the skeletons in their cellar, right? Or
Well,
closet.
and sometimes I just work with the leaders,
Mhm.
because they're, let's say there's a struggle with delegating, or they're
Mhm.
micromanaging. I mean, this is all
Yeah,
unhealed betrayal, or they're
yeah.
exhausted, or they're overworking, which is commended, but but meanwhile, they're doing that to escape their betrayal. So when I work
Mhm.
with them, they're better leaders and managers. So it's
Yeah,
whatever showing up in the company.
that is amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so blown away by this. It almost feels like even leaders who are mostly in for the money, and
Mhm,
they're out there
mhm.
too, right? Even those might wanna get on board with this because it will actually also, as a nice side effect, maybe that's not their main goal, but it will also increase productivity and efficiency and happy employees and
Well,
everything,
think
right?
about it. Think about their best salesperson who
Yeah,
now
yeah,
can't sell because of betrayal. They're, anxious. They can't focus. They can't concentrate. They're exhausted. You get your best salesperson to produce again. Look at how much more
yes,
money the company's going to make. So it shows
yeah.
up in every aspect of a company.
You just made me think of Mutiny on the Bounty.
Mhm.
If people are if they're in mutiny mode, then of course, yeah, you're like even potentially sabotaging the company. You're like wasting time and all of that. Yeah. So powerful stuff. So one more question, like from the corporate view, I'm curious because
Mhm.
I was in a similar situation many years ago when I had a job at a life insurance company in Switzerland, and back there, thankfully, it was just a temp job for a short amount of time. But the leader that I had, she was pretty high up, and she was betraying us. She was saying one thing and then doing another thing, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm out,
Mhm.
like, I don't even care about it," you know? So, and back then I was thinking, "I just gotta go, I just gotta leave," right? Like, because I can't change her, she has more power than me, right? And all
Mhm.
of those thoughts. So, what would you say for people who actually, in theory, love their job, they love the company, but there's this one person above them, or maybe it's higher up, and it kinda trickles down and sours everything, like,
Yeah.
what can they do, to
That person needs to move through the 5 stages of betrayal recovery so that they don't bring that unhealed betrayal into their next venture, into their next work experience, into their next
Mm,
relationship, because
nice, okay.
that you can't not bring it. You're in stage 3 after something like that, the shock of stage 2, the "I'm
Nice,
fine"
right.
of stage 3, and we can't outrun it. So it will follow you around until that lesson is learned. So even going to another company, that may be, you know, the right move for some. Some may just change departments, whatever it is. But more important than all of that is moving through those 5 stages so that you see it so differently. You've learned you extracted the lesson. So you're not like the one I met who's 4 years, ago had his betrayal and he's still in the same position. You wanna go back into it and to learn what you need to, move to stage 5 and do something very different because of it.
That's brilliant, and that makes total sense. And I'm curious, what do you mean when you say lesson learned? Like, find the lesson. So, 'cause, I'm gonna play, the counter advocate here for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
So in my situation back in Switzerland, I'm sure that can apply to some others too. Like, my thought process was, "Oh, she has a problem, like,
Mhm.
that's her deal, right? Like, she's doing this wrong. I would do this differently." It's like the other, right? This whole separate, spiritually speaking, the others, right? So, was not helpful or constructive. I didn't look at myself. So what do you think could have been my lesson to learn from that if the other person does these things? Like, do you have examples of, like, what
Mhm.
lessons people find?
As like any good coach would ask a ton of questions, because
Mhm.
it would be in your responses, we would know
Yeah.
where to take that conversation. For example, what if, and I have no idea, right? What if
Yeah, yeah.
you really wanted to be a solo entrepreneur and you wanted, I'm seeing your beautiful necklace, you wanted to have a jewelry store and you
Yeah.
never had what you felt it took to have that jewelry store, but you're like, I really love making jewelry. If I said to you, do you like your job? If you said,
Yeah.
oh, I love my job, I just can't stand that boss. Okay. But what if you said, I can't stand my job. So I would say, well, what do you like to do? Well, I love to make jewelry. Really? Tell me about that. And then
Nice,
you would.
nice.
And I'd say, okay, listen, I'm not telling you to quit your day job, but sometimes if we're not ready to make a move, the universe kind of does it to us.
Good
So
point, yeah. Yeah.
what if you just got this jewelry business up and running and going, and when you were equal to the pay that you have now, you made a jump. Now think about it. Are you upset with that boss or coworker? She's really a little angel because she's the reason why you hated that job enough to make a move. You see? So it would really be based on the responses I got from you.
I love this so much, and I'm laughing because I actually did start a jewelry line, and I
Yeah.
yeah, and I was in my example, I was only there because I had to pay off some payments, and, so I chose to be there for a short amount of time, and I didn't need to stay there, and so yeah, so I love that as a great example to see the lesson can actually be that, oh, there's no deeper, like, healing lesson or whatever, 'cause it might just be like, just follow your heart, and that's the lesson, right? So I love that as an example. For myself, I would probably reframe the question and, like, 'cause, like, when I hear what's the lesson? It always sounds like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta heal more, I gotta dig more, like, didn't I look at everything? Like, what the hell can I look" you know
Mhm.
what I mean? So, but if I that and that's my personal lingo, if I, say like, "Oh, what might there be as an opportunity for what's a gem I could discover from this?" And then maybe that gem is the lesson from that's
Well,
my lingo, right?
Well, sure, and when I say that, it could mean, like, learn already that you are lovable, worthy, and deserving. Learn that
Oh,
you
yeah,
need
that.
better boundaries
Oh,
in
yeah.
place. Like, just once that
Nice.
lesson's learned, there's no reason to repeat it.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, and for me, with my example, it also had to do with confidence and then just
Mhm.
found yeah, whatever. Yeah, lots of opportunities. So I love that you brought it back to me and to the person, which is what the whole thing about integrative wellness, it starts inside of us. So I love with your example that you brought it back to ourselves and
Mhm.
that you basically all the questions that we have is not outside of ourselves, but it comes back to our personally, even if it's us, even if it's somebody else. So with curiosity, we can look at it. And with your playground from the viewpoint of betrayal, just running that quiz, for example, just to kind of see like what might show up. So we had some tech issues, so I'm taking it as a sign to wrap our conversation. What are your websites for corporate leaders and also for individuals?
Yeah, so everything is at the PBT is in post betrayal transformation, thepbtinstitute.com. We just updated our site. So if you're a coach or practitioner, you're going to click one button and be headed in one direction that serves you. If you're in HR or corporate, a leader, you're going to click the other button. That's going to take you to our corporate page. And really, our entire mission is just to make, if you're a coach or practitioner, your clients, get them through stage 5. If you're a company, a leader, we want to get your company showing up with stage 5 employees and showing and having you as in stage 5 yourself. So it's really about getting everybody to their physical, mental, and emotional best by moving through the 5 stages of betrayal recovery.
Amazing. I do have one last question for you. What's your magic wand wish for the world and for
Mm,
people listening to this? Like, what's
yeah.
your vision that drives you?
Yeah, if I can't prevent betrayal, at least I want as many people to know there's a framework and a proven way to move through all of it.
Nice. Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Debbie. This was so amazing. I super appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Question: what did this spark in you today? Take one baby step and act on it. One small step can change your world and will ripple to others. The world really needs more sparkle. If you like more inspiration like this, come join us in our free Integrative Wellness Oasis on School. We are an amazing community of wellness lovers and professionals where you get to discover new ideas, resources, and also really cool virtual retreats. We love going on virtual cruises too. If you loved this episode, please share it with someone who might love this inspiration as well. Until next time, keep exploring and follow the sparkle.